All right, guys, welcome to the video on solving and graphing inequalities. And here's the good news. You guys got so good at solving equations, right? Like if this was an equal sign, remember in chapter 1, we drew a wall and we got all the x's to one side, all the numbers on the other. So the good news is solving inequalities is exactly the same thing as solving equations, except what we talked about in class, when you have to flip the symbol. So except when you multiply or divide by a negative number, you must flip the inequality symbol. So that's the only difference. It's just like solving equations, but when you multiply or divide by a negative number, you must flip the inequality symbol. Okay, so let's do a little recap. You use an open circle on the graph when it's just greater than or just less than. And you use a closed circle on the graph when it's greater than or equal to or less than or equal to. All right, so let's actually try solving one. So just like before, draw the wall, and then you pick a side. You got to get all the x's to one side and all the constants to the other. And it doesn't really matter which way you go. So on this one, I'm going to subtract the x over to the left. I would say most people like to get the variables on the left, but it's up to you. All right, so now we have 5 minus 4x is less than or equal to 13 because these cancel. And then if the x's came to the left, then we need to subtract the 5 to the right. Okay, so those cancel. And now we have negative 4x is less than or equal to 8. And then to undo negative 4 times x, we divide both sides by negative 4. Okay, but here you go. If you multiply or divide by a negative number, you need to flip the symbol. Okay, so the final answer, these cancel. You get x is, you're going to flip it greater than or equal to, and then this becomes negative 2. All right, and then we know that greater than or equal to is a closed circle at negative 2. And then greater, we know, means off to the right. So that's your answer. Okay, so it's not really much harder than what we've done before. All right, let's go through and do a couple more here. All right, number 1. So draw the wall. If you're trying to get x alone, don't forget to, if it says minus 5, we're going to add 5. Always do opposite operations. And then you have x is greater than negative 3 plus 5 is 2. Notice I did not flip the symbol on this one because we just added. Okay, so greater than means open circle at 2, and then greater means to the right. Okay, so make sure you draw your arrow. Okay, let's look at number 2. This one's a little bit different. What do you do if the variable ends up on the right-hand side? Okay, so draw the wall. If you're trying to get m alone, what's the opposite of minus 1/2? You guys would say plus 1/2, right? Okay, so those cancel. Negative 1 plus 1/2 is negative 1/2 less than or equal to m. Okay, so here's what I would do, guys. If the m ever ends up on the right-hand side, you need to rewrite it and kind of just switch everything so the m is on the left-hand side, because it's so much easier to graph if the variable is on the left. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to totally flip everything and rewrite it. Because if you read this backwards, If you read it backwards, doesn't it say m is greater than or equal to negative 1/2. So that's how I'm going to write it. And then once you have it written this way, it's much easier to graph. So that'd be a closed circle at negative 1/2, and then greater than means it's off to the right. Because see, I worry if you guys leave it like this, you would think that this is a less than sign, but you always read it from the variable, so it actually becomes a greater than or equal to. All right, let's try a couple more. Okay, so let's just fly through these here. And if you guys want to pause and try some, and then just check your answers, go ahead. All right, so number 3, we're going to draw the wall. To undo multiplying by 4, we divide by 4. And we're dividing by a positive, so no flipping the symbol. All right, these cancel. We have x is less than 2. And then hopefully you guys know that means an open circle at 2, and less than means to the left. All right, number 4. Draw the wall. To undo dividing by negative 3, we multiply by negative 3. All right, so these cancel. We have x is, now look, we multiply by negative. That's one of our reasons that we flip the symbol. So it's going to become less than 2 times negative 3 is negative 6. All right, so x is less than negative 6. And that would be an open circle at negative 6, and less than means left. All right, let's keep going. Number 5, draw the wall. To undo subtracting 7, we add 7. And then you guys have 3x is less than 15. And then one more step, to undo multiplying by 3, we divide by 3. And then these cancel. You have x is less than 5. And then again, you guys know that would be an open circle at 5, and less than means left. Okay, number 6. This one we have to distribute first. So go ahead and multiply the 2 into both. It's going to be 2x minus 10 is less than or equal to 4. And then you're going to draw the wall and solve. So to undo minus 10, we plus 10. And then you have 2x is less than or equal to 14. And then to undo multiplying by 2, we divide by 2. Okay, so these cancel. We have x is less than or equal to 7. Now, less than or equal to would mean a closed circle at 7, and the arrow goes left. All right, number 7. Draw the wall. To undo plus 2, we subtract 2. And they cancel. And then we have negative 7x is less than negative 7. And then to undo multiplying by negative 7, we divide by negative 7. But that's one of our rules. If you divide by a negative, you flip the symbol. So in the final answer, when these cancel, it's x is greater than, and then negative 7 divided by negative 7 is 1. So x is greater than 1. And that would be an open circle at 1, and the arrow would go right. All right, and then number 8, draw the wall. Now again, you have a choice. Do you want to get the x's to the left or the right? I would say most people would probably subtract the 2x to the left. And then if you do that, you have 4x minus 7 is greater than 17. And then to undo minus 7, we add 7 to both sides, so they cancel. and you have 4x is greater than 24. And then to undo multiplying by 4, we just divide by 4. And these cancel, and you end up with x is greater than 6. And that would be an open circle at 6, and the arrow would go greater than means to the right. All right, nice job, guys. That is day 1 of solving and graphing inequalities.